Ready?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Hey, I'm Mitch Gore. I'm a state rep on Indy's East Side, and I am drinking Wild Cherry Pepsi.
I've seen you speak on the floor a little bit, but I don't know a ton about you. So, do you mind just sharing just a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I grew up in the district I represent now.
89?
89, yeah, District 89, which is like the southern half of Warren Township, a few precincts in Franklin Township, and then the northern half of the city of Beech Grove. So,
Okay.
my folks are split up. And so, my dad lives in Cumberland. That's in the district.
Okay.
But I grew up at my mom's house in Franklin Township, and then Grandma lived at Maine and Tyson and Beech Grove for like 40 years. And so, but that's where I grew up. We had I'm a third generation tavern operator. I don't do it anymore.
Okay.
I went into public service, but we owned a bar there by Washington Square Mall as a family for like 30 years.
I saw that. I was going to ask what the restaurant was.
Bubba's. It's
Oh,
still,
okay.
yeah.
Sure.
But the old man had it like from the time it was Hard Day's Night. So like East Siders will like remember Hard Day's Night. He changed it to Bubba's in like '08. And that's right in the heart of the district, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up running that bar for like several years. Had to leave college early. Didn't graduate because the Great Recession was on.
Okay.
And went back to help run the bar. Did that 7 nights a week for several years.
Damn.
It was hard on like
Yeah.
Brittany and so I was like, I gotta make a change. I gotta do something that's a little less stressful. So
Sure.
I went and became a cop, and so glutton for punishment, I guess.
Sure. Different kind of stress.
Yeah, different kind of stress. But I went and originally I joined the city. I had special police powers with IMPD. I was doing nuisance abatement work. So it's like vice operations, like closing down shady massage parlors. But a lot of the work was focused on, we also had the unsafe building program. So a lot of my work was focused on that. We tore down in my tenure about 700 like vacant and unsafe structures in the city.
Yeah.
All over the city, and then I went to the sheriff's office. In the meantime, I'd been volunteering and working on Democratic campaigns for years and years.
Okay.
And so all this kind of culminated. I go to the sheriff's office in 2019. In 2020, it turns out that where I've spent my entire life is the most competitive House district in the state, and a lot of friends I'd gotten close with over like various campaigns and stuff, the sheriff and others were like, hey man, you work your ass off. Like you should run for this.
Sure.
And I did. I'm the last Democrat to flip a seat in the House. I flipped that seat in 2020. We've won some competitive races since then, but I flipped it. I'm the youngest Democrat in the General Assembly. And on paper, although I don't know how friendly I'll be with them in the coming session because I've been pretty vocal during this redistricting stuff, but I've been able to get 6 bills passed, and,
Okay, yeah.
which is quite a lot for a member of the super minority, and
For
just
sure.
chugging away. So,
I mean, I saw on your website you talk a lot about the reach across the aisle.
yeah,
I think you live in a district, like you said, it's not only super competitive, but it encompasses a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
So already you kind of come up in an environment that requires
yeah,
bridge building,
Yeah.
I think, right?
yeah,
Thank you for sharing that. I got a lot of questions now.
yeah.
What do you... So you go, you leave college to go back and work and help at home in a place that you're familiar with already.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you worked at the restaurant prior to going to college.
Yeah, I mean, from the time I was like 11, 12, when I met my dad, it was like working in, I just remember like cleaning the bathrooms.
Okay.
Like having to do deep cleans on the bathrooms,
Sure.
bringing up ice
Yep.
to the bar. And then we hosted a lot of fundraisers too.
Okay.
Dad's an equal opportunity business owner, right? So when Marion County was red, he was hosting fundraisers for Republicans, and as it started to change, he was hosting fundraisers for Democrats. But and I'd be like running the soft drinks and running the food down and stuff for those too.
Sure.
So
Get a little inside view of
Yeah,
what
I'd hear
that
the
looks
stump
like.
speech, but the cool, like from all these different candidates, but the coolest part was then they'd come up to Dad's table and shoot the shit for a little bit. And like I'd get to hear like the candid conversations. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I want to, I like politics. Like,
Is that where that interest
Yeah.
kind of first bubbled up?
Yeah.
Or, okay,
and growing up with like the last name Gore and growing up like during the Clinton administration.
sure.
And seeing, and my middle name's Alan now,
Okay.
like his
Interesting.
name's Albert, but like maybe there's some name determinism there. But I was like,
Sure.
oh, this is interesting. And then those fundraisers and seeing behind the scenes of it, it was seeing
Yeah.
how deals got made. It was interesting stuff. So
sure.
I wanted to do it too.
What were you originally going to school for, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, originally, I was at UND for finance.
Okay.
And this is before this, like IU changed their metrics. You
Sure.
had to take some kind of calculus, even if it was pre-calc. I did not take any calculus courses in high school.
Okay.
And
I cheated my way through mine
yeah, I mean,
and then failed right out of math in college.
yeah. So for finance, they threw me into calculus,
Okay.
and I was like, brain does not work like this.
Sure, totally.
And I was like, political science it is,
Makes
the
sense.
most liberal artsy science degree you could, so, and I was almost done with it when I did not like school. So leaving to go like work was like no big deal. I
Yeah.
thought I'd go back. And I was making all kinds of, I was making money and
Sure. Well, you're working 7 days a week too. Like,
yeah,
it probably doesn't feel like there's a window to going back. It's like, I'm in it now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and when like once we got through the Great Recession and like things calmed down, it was like, okay, do you go back? Do you finish like your last year? No.
Sure.
Like I'm making bank. Like
Sure. Totally.
I got stuff going on. So, yeah.
Would you ever go back to finish that one?
Well, now like my views on like education have changed. Like
Sure.
it was back then, like everybody was telling our generation, like you got to go to school, you
Yes.
have to go to college, you're going to be a failure if you
Yes.
don't, and I was like, I don't think that's true. Now I would do it like for my own reasons. Like
Sure.
I no longer like need a degree. I don't feel like for the things I'm doing, I've kind of proven that.
Yeah.
But now I would do it as like a matter of like fulfillment. And I'd take courses that I'd be interested in,
Sure. So it wouldn't
Actually-
necessarily be finishing the degree that you did. It would just be like, hey, can I go and learn something new?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What was the draw to the police department?
The real draw was like government work
Okay.
of some kind. Like I knew from these candidates and my dad's friends and friends that I had made that were like, in local government, I was like, that seems like really fulfilling work. And at that point, I wasn't just looking for something new to make money, like whatever it was. It was like I didn't just need a change of schedule. I needed
Sure.
like to reframe like what I really wanted to do with my life. And so like I wanted to do something fulfilling. Like running a bar is not, it actually got kind of sad. Like,
Sure.
but yeah, I needed something fulfilling. So I felt like government work could be it. And plus it tied into like politics, right?
Sure.
Because your boss is, your big boss is elected. And so I thought about government work, and that's why I ended up, and honestly, I just took also I needed insurance. I have Crohn's disease,
Okay.
and it was totally untreated because I didn't have health insurance at the bar. And so I needed health insurance. So I was like, I want to do something fulfilling. I need decent benefits. I'm interested in like politics and government. Go work for like the city of Indianapolis.
Sure.
And so I started as an entry-level code enforcement inspector, and ended up, running the Nuisance Abatement Bureau. But it totally changed everything. I mean, I did go from making like $100,000 a year to like, I remember that first job was $27,500.
Big difference.
I had a new Mustang, sold that.
Sure.
We sold Brittany's car. We got like we became like a one car household out of
Sure.
necessity, but our marriage was great. Like I was home every day at 4. I was a game changer. Like,
Yeah.
would do it all over again. So,
Yeah. What do people say when you were like, "Hey, I'm going to do this now"?
man, I mean, it was, firstly, like, I started looking around, right? I'm like, okay, this is my community. We're not being represented. This mall where we had our bar for decades is like going downhill. We're not getting the attention we deserve. I'd become, after working on like several campaigns, like much more politically astute. And I was like, okay, I'm going to help go out and recruit somebody to win here.
Okay.
But then it was, as so I started asking all my friends, I'm like, hey, like the Democrat lost in 2018 by just 222 votes. Like, do you know anybody? Like, who are we going to do? And like, to a person, and this was the most humbling thing, talk about support from people, like to a person, everybody was like, what are you talking about? Like, you do it,
Sure.
And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Something about, I'd always put, and the reason like I go by Mitch, and I actually told my incredible campaign team the other day, they had drafted something that said like, it was a graphic that said Representative Mitch Gore, like representative was my first name.
Sure.
And I was like, hey,
sure.
just so you know, like I really don't like,
Yeah.
I get to be Mitch Gore and like much smaller, like representative. But I'd put politicians on a pedestal. So naturally I was looking to find somebody that I could put on a pedestal. I wasn't
Sure.
thinking about running myself. But so that was really humbling. Everybody saying like, you should do it. The sheriff, that whole campaign team, a lot of people I really, really respected that were already in government, either elected officials or people I trusted. They were like, you do it, and we'll be right there with you. And so I have like a kickoff fundraiser. It's at the bar.
Nice.
Gotta
be.
Yeah, it's gotta be. And all the, it was it was like my first event, great turnout, like 30, 40 people. And then like all of my regulars, like, why is your name on that banner? And they come down, and they're like, chipping in like $5 or $10. And it blew my mind. And then to go out and start knocking on doors. And it seemed like, it really felt like every fifth door I knocked, so, somebody was like looking at me, and eventually I just started saying like, do you know me from Bubba's? It's like, that's it. That's where I know you from. You kicked me out that one night,
What a very
And it's
Indiana
like,
way to meet someone.
Yeah, it was like, but you let me back in, the next day. That's real cool.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
all right, well, yeah. I mean, a lot of support from family, from friends, from patrons, other electeds. So yeah. And I don't put politicians on a pedestal anymore.
Sure.
And nobody should.
I appreciate you sharing that, because I feel like we've just come out of a period of time where it felt like a lot of people in your position as an elected official weren't really listening or knowing the people that they said that they were speaking for. And so, we've been talking about redistricting a lot, and I feel like we're in this period of exhale a little bit. Like, okay, we have defeated this for now. Am I right? First question, am I right in feeling like I can breathe slightly until maybe January of 2026?
Yeah, you can breathe. I know back on, I think it was November 14th, that's when Rod Bray first came out and he was like, we are not coming back until January. And a lot of people took victory laps. A lot of Indiana conservation voters, some of these folks, you see them on Facebook, like, we did it.
Yeah.
And I have a text from that afternoon where I texted somebody on Andre Carson's team. I was like, hey, are you going to keep doing the phone banking and stuff? Because I don't think this is over.
Sure.
And it wasn't. But now, in the General Assembly, the rules are that when a matter is defeated in a bill, that language and substantially similar language cannot be reintroduced during that General Assembly.
Sure.
So plus we're up against, there's a time crunch. I mean, theoretically, they could try some, here's a good Hoosier term, they could try some moogie-foogie to try to do something like the first week of it's just practically impossible, I think, at this point. So
Sure.
yeah, we can breathe.
Without a completely different version of whatever they were trying to do. Like they'd have to have new maps, probably, like a whole new way of framing the conversation around
Yeah,
this.
they'd really have, like, they weren't already twisting themselves
Sure.
in the knots. Like, they'd really have to do. Now, I've grown kind of superstitious in
Sure.
this role. I was about to reveal a way they might be able to get it done. I'm not even going to say it out loud, to be honest with you.
I believe that. I
Yeah.
believe in that superstition right there.
Not
Let me
gonna
ask
do
you. Let me ask you this question. So does this fall under still the quote unquote special election or the General Assembly of 2024-25, or
We were,
would it technically? Because I
yeah.
felt like when I heard somebody say when they got called back in, it was essentially starting early 2026.
Yeah.
And now I feel like when you say that, I'm like, okay, that makes me feel like it should be dead for all of 2026 or for all of the next General Assembly.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
yeah. We met and considered this bill as part of the regular session, not as
Okay.
part of the special session. So yeah, it is done for 2026.
Okay.
Well, it is done for this regular session.
I just saw a thread or something on social media. Somebody said, like, essentially that Donald Trump has stolen the last 10 years of our mental health and security. and I was like, oh, I haven't really thought about it that way. Feeling like kind of what you're saying, not being on edge, but just being like, and not being like fully pessimistic, but just being like, hey, I'm not going to let this be like, oh, I feel great that this is now done, or, oh, I feel terrible that this maybe didn't go the way I thought. Because, like you said, the game's not over. Is that the conversation that you were having with your constituents as this was going on? Or especially from, I guess, the 14th till the next 14th, I suppose, for that last month?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember when Bray said, "Nah, never mind, we're coming back." Maybe there's like,
So I think it was like literally that Monday after. So I believe it was a Wednesday when the resolution got signed, and we all thought, or people thought,
Yeah.
hey, it's over. And then I believe it was that following Monday. Yep, we have our December calendar up. I was like, I'll reference. I'm like, oh, it's not there anymore. So I think that was.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was like a relatively short window.
It was really quick. Yeah.
And so, I think mostly I was just trying to game plan within like the House Democratic caucus.
Okay, sure.
Like, okay, but if they do come back,
Sure.
like, because there are members of the General Assembly and they're politicos who like, you should celebrate wins when you get them. It was a win that Bray said we're not coming back.
Right.
But like, if you're a professional in this world, like you gotta keep planning, like
Sure.
just in case, right? And there were folks who were not doing that. So my mission was to keep trying to account for like, well, what if they do? What if he does say, never mind, we're coming back
So
in?
you're just trying to wrangle General Assembly members or Assembly members. Not even you don't have to worry about your own part or your own constituents. It's like, let's get the people that are working in here together first.
Because if it turns out that Bray never brings him back, cool beans.
Sure.
November 14th goes down as like a really good day that, but and no need to like burden my job is to take that burden off my constituents. They don't need to be burdened with the thought of like, oh no, like it's not actually over, right?
Sure.
I'll plan, and I'll hit you guys up when it's time to keep making phone calls and stuff. But so I was just trying to wrangle other electeds to at least be thinking about what happens next if it goes sideways.
I'm interested in how like somebody who gets elected and put in that position would find themselves feeling comfortable enough after the 14th to be like, oh, I don't have to do anything anymore. I think, I'll leave the question at that. Like what would cause somebody to feel like, okay, we don't necessarily have to worry about this any longer?
There's a combination of things. I mean, I think if you were asking them, they would say, well, I've been doing this so long that, if it were to come up, I can think quickly enough and I can plan quickly enough and execute quickly enough that like there's really, I don't need to plan so far in advance, or I don't
Sure.
need to
Somebody
stress
who's
about it.
secure in their seat, maybe.
Okay, so yeah, everything, most of our political ills, this whole saga goes back to gerrymandering.
Right.
Like, it all returns to gerrymandering. Like, something like, there are probably only, like, in the House, 6, 7, 8 competitive districts,
Yeah.
right? I'm in one of them, which is a huge blessing for me, like, because I get to be myself
Sure.
and, like, be a normal person. Like, but yeah, but if you're in a really safe seat, right, where you're not constantly thinking about how best do I communicate to my constituents, how do I ensure that I take their considerations into account, how should I address this particular issue? And then yeah, I mean, you're like, I don't have to work. Sometimes people get the attitude like, I don't have to work that hard at this. Like, I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Been there a long time. And on the Republican side, the whole reason this was considered and passed through the House is because, Republicans have drawn themselves into such red districts that the primary is the only thing that matters, and the president has an outsized role in the primary. So you gotta, put the old knee pads on and bow down and do what, he says. Otherwise you risk, a primary challenge. Otherwise, if all of our districts existed somewhere in the 45 to 55 range,
Sure.
this never wouldn't have been introduced. The bill wouldn't have been introduced. Like,
Sure.
but that's not where we are. So, yeah, to me, it all comes back to gerrymandering and money in politics.
During the Senate testimony, I had the opportunity to tune in when Senator Greg Good was up, and I wasn't super familiar with him. But what I really appreciated about his testimony was how he continued to reference how he had listened to the people in his district, and that they didn't want this, citing specific examples about things that they said for the reason why he was a no vote. And I was like, that is what I want to hear from a politician. We might have different perspectives on stuff, different values, or whatever the case is, but like, if I could just bring it down to brass tacks, I appreciate him for doing something like that. I think one of the things that I appreciated just learning about you in this conversation, especially at the front end, is like, you've come up in that environment. Like, you had kind of no choice but to listen, because you were just in the room to be able to hear these conversations from the other side. And now you find yourself as that person who's been selected by people to represent them at the State House. I think that your constituents did not want this redistricting to go through. What were you hearing from them specifically about, like, why we don't want this?
Yeah. So Senator Good hosted a listening session on his own.
The only Republican I believe I heard to do so, or on the Senate side at least.
And I think he might have claimed the only legislator, which might be true. I was lucky enough that Recenter Indiana, a nonpartisan org, hosted a listen and learn session in my district, so I didn't need to plan one. I just went to theirs.
Yeah.
And Senator Hunley was there with me. It was the closest Recenter event to her as well. So they hosted one in Beech Grove, in my district, and they released the results of, I think they did 3 or 4 throughout the state.
Okay.
And I think at the Beech Grove session, it said like 98% of respondents opposed, like after, learning more about it from Dr. Wilson at UND, political science professor, after learning more about redistricting and what gerrymandering is and why they're doing it in the middle of a decade and how traditionally we don't do it, like 98% were opposed in the Beech Grove session. Overall, like 90-something percent across all of their events were opposed. And I had a lot of constituents there in the room, and had a lot. I give out my personal phone number when I knock on doors. Nice. So like, I got a lot of texts, a lot of voicemails. Obviously my State House office got a lot of emails. And I mean, near universal opposition to it. And a lot of my constituents it boiled down to, the basics, like Hoosiers don't cheat. Like this is totally antithetical to like everything we want our government to be about. And
Sure.
like you could also sense in like talking to people that like this was just like one more thing that was like making them lose faith in like government.
Sure.
Like,
Just even overall.
yeah,
just,
because there were statewide polls done by really reputable polling firms that showed that like 80 some percent of polled Democrats opposed it. Like the like 70 some percent of independents opposed it. There was one poll that said the majority of Republicans opposed it. And then one came out and said, no, they're in favor of it, but like low numbers. It was like, no, 54%.
Yeah, it's like
I was like,
50.5%.
Yeah, I was like,
approve.
Okay. Like not a mandate to do it.
Sure.
Like, so people were just, it wasn't just absurd. It was like, it was really dismaying for like a lot of people.
Sure.
They were exasperated even talking about it.
Sure,
So,
because it's like it's just very blatant, but also like there are a lot of other things happening, not just in the world, but in Indiana right now that we could be focused on, and yet we are spending a considerable amount of time, energy, and tax dollars to pursue and/or try to defeat this thing.
yeah. And I'll also say people were shit. Like Republicans and Democrats and independents alike, when they talked to me, another theme kept coming up. They were shitty that they were like being lied to, right?
Sure.
Because like they could tell that like the reasons to do it were reverse engineered. Like everybody knows that this all started when the president asked Texas
Right.
to redraw their maps, right? But then Republicans, like elected Republicans, are saying like, well, Democrats do it, so we have to, and that's how this all started. And they're like, I missed something. Like,
Right.
this is, you're lying to us, like, and you're lying to us like for like a bad reason to get something done that we don't want done. So I hope people feel maybe a little bit of trust in government's been restored, maybe a little bit.
For sure. Well, I think a lot of people should feel really proud of themselves for calling, for writing, for however they engaged, because I think like, I don't know, I do feel like had there not been a like public stink about it, I don't know that we would have seen it defeated.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, I think I did a video like right after I watched the vote live.
Yeah.
And I made a quick
from the
video.
car.
Yeah, from the car. I was like, we were taking my daughter to dance class and like listening to it on the way. And they went in and I just shot a quick video and I was like, this is your win, because like these folks were under immense pressure.
Sure.
Right. The administration absolutely threatened to pull funding.
Yeah.
Like despite them
Funding,
saying they didn't.
primaries.
Yeah, I mean,
Actual threats of violence.
Yeah.
Like,
And so, yeah. And if Hoosiers of all stripes and political backgrounds weren't standing up saying like, no, and providing equal or greater pressure, that it very well could have gone through.
yeah. Well, I think that like we're so often considered just an afterthought, and not just a political landscape, just any landscape. And I think like I saw the word shocking a lot in the headlines on all various news organizations and outlets that were covering this. And what I kept thinking was just like, I don't know that it would be so shocking were we to actually talk to the people that live in the state.
Yeah.
I think if anything, it's shocking that we were not more vocal about it sooner.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to this, like, not only the gerrymandering, but the attempts to marginalize and sideline voters and voices so that they don't feel like they should go to the polls in the first place, which is how we end up in a situation like we currently find ourselves. How would you describe your district?
I think I have the coolest district because I think it's like a microcosm of the state, because down in like the Franklin Township portion of my district, you got family, like I feel like every other year I get notified that like another family farms won like the Hoosier Homestead Award, which is where like you have to, your farm's been in the family for 100 or 150 years.
Okay.
Right. So I got family farms down in the Franklin Township portion. Then you come up into like Southern Warren Township. A lot of it's suburban. It's actually growing really, really fast. The people who think like Indianapolis is like all city and it's a common misconception with my colleagues at the State House. They think I represent an Indy district.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, I got farms and I got like a bunch of farmland right now is being turned into, single family homes. I got a lot of young families moving in. Southern Warren Township has a lot of young Black families moving in, especially down by Sarah Shank Golf Course, big Hispanic and Latino population. Beech Grove is its own thing. I have the northern half of the city of Beech Grove. CNBC put it on top 100 lists for first time home buyers because you get like these cute bungalows. It's walkable. You got coffee shops, breweries, restaurants down on Main Street. I mean, it's just a really cool place with its own identity. And Cumberland is, I think, getting there. It's an excluded city as well. And, the Blue Line will get out there, but they got shops. They got a really cute Main Street, and they're kind of exploding too. So it's just a great district. Like, I'm really lucky to get to represent it.
Yeah, I like it. What are the things that your constituents are most concerned about right now?
So as diverse as the district is, and listen, I won my first election in 2020 by 265 votes, right?
Nice.
700 some, and then 265. And I still haven't cracked 56% of the vote, right? I'm working on it. But I've been saying lately, like, we're not divided, we're being divided because I'll go talk to like, my Black constituents, say in Warren Township, like on the far east side, around like 21st and Cumberland, for example, and they have the same concerns as like my friends, the Wilsons, who live over by 10th and Post, or you go down to the Oxbrows, who live down in Franklin Township and live on like an acre and a half with like a little ranch. Everybody has the same concerns. Like,
sure.
they can't afford anything. Property taxes, groceries, especially like electric bills, like everything's going up. Their wages aren't keeping pace.
Yeah.
And it's just, they feel like they're getting squeezed more and more. And they know instinctively, even if they can't put words to it, that like Indiana state government is not at all working for them, right? That redistricting was a prime example, right, of politicians kind of telling you what the issues are that are affecting you, right? And that's how you end up with like, a guy who can't afford to put gas in the step side, yelling at me about trans athletes, right? When there are none in Indiana,
right?
Instead of like joining with me to like bring gas prices down. Like, it's, and people in my district know that. Like, they know that shit's not working for them. And sometimes I think they're misguided on who to blame, but they also know, just because I've talked to tens of thousands of them over the last 5 years, that like, even if we disagree on a few things, like, they know that like nobody's going to fight for like our side of town, like as hard as me. So that I'm very fortunate to have.
For sure. Well, I think that's what I say about, so I'm adopted, and as I've been in the adoptee community and worked with a lot of different organizations, I feel like I've discovered the wide and varied perspectives that people have, and from one end of like loving adoption to the other end of hating it, and everything that happens in between, and all this work that we're trying to do, and all the things that we fight over, resources and all of that. And I think it drives us to not work together or not want to work together because we feel like we're competing over these things, or that we don't have the same mission. And the message I try and share all the time is that at the end of the day, regardless of what we want or how we go about doing it, I think we all want better for the people in our community. If we could just lay that out on the table and start from there, I think we could start to really like give people the space that they need to build what they need, because it's good to have specific pillars. We don't need one general umbrella for everybody to come to try and fix the thing. We do need specific things for specific needs for specific communities, and we have to be able to communicate. We have to have a cohesive network between all of those things. So when somebody maybe comes in who needs help over here, but finds themselves entering the door over here, we can get them from this spot to this spot.
Yeah. That's what government's supposed to be. Like
Right.
at its best is the connector. And there are some things that only government can do that takes a lot
Sure.
of money, right? But like, yeah, at its best, it is building bridges between people and groups who are already doing the work, and amplifying that. And we just have, way too many politicians for whom the goal is to be a politician,
Right.
It's like power for its own sake, not
Yeah.
to like do anything. It's just to hang on to, get one more term, to like get one more steak dinner. And that's we need term limits pretty badly, I guess is
Sure.
what I'm trying to say.
No, I get it. Like when I was listening to the Senate testimony, that is what I felt a lot of from the Republican senators who were speaking. Was just like, I'm like, is this a campaign like rally? Like I'm like, well, are we like, you haven't mentioned redistricting one time, like,
Yeah.
or you haven't even talked about the people that you like elected you one time.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here?
And the flip side is that like, and this has come up a couple of times in our conversation, like when you do the work, when you talk to your constituents, right? Like I do, who else does that is Rod Bray. Like
Sure.
the Brays are an institution down in Martinsville, right?
Yeah.
That's where my wife's family's from. And, 3 generations of Bray men have been in some kind of elected office down there, from Congress to the Indiana Senate. And if you, like after Bray announced he wasn't coming in, I think one of our local outlets or one of our nonprofit newsrooms sent like a reporter or two down to Martinsville to ask people on the street, like, it's Martinsville, Indiana, right? It's
Yeah.
as red as it can get.
Yeah.
And they asked people like, hey, Rod Bray is almost single-handedly, denying the redistricting that the president wants. What do you think? And like everybody was like, Rod's a good guy. I'm sure he has his reasons.
Sure.
Right. That only comes from like really knowing your constituents and having a certain level of confidence that like that they have your back.
Sure.
And that comes from like person to person connections, like routinely.
Sure.
And that's but if you don't listen to your constituents, like if
Yeah.
you're not as confident in your relationship with them, either because like you're newer to the position or because like you haven't listened to them in like 2 decades,
Yeah.
you can have a tenuous grasp on what you got to do to hold on to power.
For sure. Okay, let me ask you this, because you brought up term limits before, and then you just talked about how Rod Bray is 3rd generation now. Is that like, how much potential like issue does that present when like you're essentially an elected office seat is almost guaranteed to go to somebody who comes from one family because they've already been in there? Is that an issue? Is that a problem?
It can be an issue. And I wrestle with this sometimes because at some point, like I think I know myself well enough to say that like I could be in office for 30 years. And I really think that like at the end of my time in office, I'll be fighting for like the same stuff that
Sure.
I am now, right? Some people just have it and like
Yeah.
they're about it in the right ways. And some people are about it in the wrong ways from day one. But I do think like that the benefit of term limits outweighs the risk of losing like institutional knowledge.
Sure.
And
totally.
I'm talking about, we got some people that have been in for so long that like 15 years, right? A 15, 16-year term limit is a long time.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of stuff done. But we got people who have been in there twice as long. Like, you can build institutional knowledge. You can get some stuff done and then, get out of there in time for like, in 16, it's the driving age. It's like, it's not like what most people would call like a generation, but like it's getting pretty close.
Sure.
And so Yeah, I'm not talking about like super short term limits where
Yeah, totally.
but like something better than what we got,
Well, where you can't just kind of like reign with impunity or sit on a seat,
Yeah.
and not do anything.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, you can get stuff done in like that first 16 years, but when you're there for 32 years, what have you done in the second 16? Like, have you just been sitting there at the seat at the table conversation? Like, once
Yeah.
you get the seat, the point is not to just sit there. It's
Yeah.
to like, okay, well, now we got to get to work.
And I don't mind like family dynasties. Like, if you had term limits, what does it matter if like your dad was
Sure.
somebody? But so I don't mind family dynasties. Like my friend Bo Bai, right? Like again, a third generation. Two dads were senators, or Evan was a governor. But like, it only takes a 5-minute conversation to be like, okay, this guy's got like the right ideas. He's got the energy and the experience that he's gleaned from like his dad and like his grandpa's example are valuable in like how he plans on serving.
Sure.
Right. It's how he plans on executing. That's what I think he's gleaned. So like, I don't mind dynasties, but like get in, serve for a reasonable amount of time and get out.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what are you doing with that too? I guess I asked the question because I'm like, okay, I don't want necessarily conservative political dynasties in these places that will perpetuate, harmful systems or policy. But then I'm like, well, they could say the exact same thing on the opposite side. So I didn't want to play the devil's advocate and be like, well, I just, because I'm a liberal or I'm a progressive, I don't want conservatives in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm more concerned about like, not family dynasties, but like generational dynasties.
Sure.
Like Obama was the outlier, but from so Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Donald Trump were all born right around the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So like you're going back to a president who was elected in 92, right? Up to the president serving today, we're all born around like the same year.
Wild.
Like that's a generational dynasty that like indicates that like there is it's not all of them, of course, but there's like a generation that is like holding on for dear life.
Yeah. Literally Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
What's something that you're really like laser focused on, or something that you're at least like keeping aware of that other people should be aware of?
A couple things. I'll say firstly, like clearly you've seen that video I shot in my car after the redistricting bill died. I said it then, I'll say it now. And Senator Gaskell wasn't the only one, but his remarks about how like we're in a civil war. These people want to kill us, and it's Democrats and all you rhinos. Those weren't his words, but that's essentially what he's saying. Democrats and rhinos, are perpetuating this civil war, and we have to fight back. Like that kind of extreme rhetoric, really, it told me more about Mike than I could have gleaned separately, and told me more than I have gleaned from a few conversations with him. But there were others, some who were auditioning for higher office.
Okay.
Probably. But so I'll just take that with me. What some of what was said, some of what was done. I learned a lot, because it passed. It really kind of barely passed in the House. 57 votes, way lower than people thought. Looking at the no votes tells me something. Looking at folks that I thought like had the capacity to be no's but weren't. All of that tells me a lot, and I'll take that with me going into future sessions. And then, what am I laser focused on now? Like I'm still, I still want to be the Democrat who's able to get bills passed. I mean, I work very hard at it. I've been much more critical of my Republican colleagues in the last several months. So whereas previously, I know some people would have called me like Republicans' favorite Democrat.
Okay.
I don't know how that impacts like my ability to pass bills, but I get to file 5 bills. I'll be trying to pass all of them. I got one that I think, frankly, I think like we're probably being gouged at the grocery store. We saw it during COVID. I have no reason to believe that it's actually ended. I have a bill to combat price gouging on grocery staples.
Love it.
As a law enforcement officer, I really don't want the National Guard to be used as police on the
I love
streets.
that
It's
too.
dangerous for them. It's dangerous for actual police. It's dangerous for the community. So I have a bill on that.
This is your third term?
Third
Technically?
term, yeah, I'm going into my 6th session.
Gotcha. So you got some time under your belt.
Yeah.
You were in the room listening in on those candid conversations from other people running campaigns, and you've been doing that yourself. Higher aspirations for you.
Yeah, no. Somebody, well, I'll tell you, somebody serious. Again, like when you do the hard work, like people you respect, like people end up asking you, like, "Hey, will you consider doing this?"
Sure.
After we saw the first map and discovered that I would have lived in the new version of the 6th, or some like where Shreve serves,
Yeah.
like. I mean, somebody's like, if they pass these maps, like, would you consider running? And I told them the same thing I've said for a long time, which is I'd sooner jump off the rotunda than go to DC. Like I've already, like back in my mid-20s, like I quit a job, right, working 7 days a week, like where I didn't get to see my wife.
Sure.
Like I've been there, done that. Like I've done the whole, not being around for important stuff. Like, so, I'm done with that. Like, as it relates to DC, I think I'd be good in the U.S. Senate. It's a lot like the Indiana House. There are 100 members. You can form actual relationships.
Sure.
Like if you really hunker down and like want to do the hard work, that's a place where you can still sometimes do it. Like Todd Young and the CHIPS Act and stuff. Like you can still do things. So like it'd be interesting, but like I got a 3-year-old at home. Like
Right.
I'm just trying to make it to dance practice and
Totally.
and stuff. Like so no, none right now.
Biggest thing you've learned about yourself in the last 3 years as a dad?
Oh. Well, I mean, I just, people said it, especially in the first 6 months, but like I didn't really, because the first 6 months were like really hard. They'd be like, "Oh, do you ever know you could love something this much?"
Sure.
And I thought, I naively thought it was, it's the same size cup. It's just always full of love. No, dude, like it's a pitcher. It's a water tower now.
Yeah.
Like the capacity to love has gotten, and to care about something has gotten like so much bigger. I mean, it's wild. Every day is better than the last. Yeah, I didn't know. So now, I've gone back and told people that I remember asked me that. I'm like, you're right. I did not know. No, I did not imagine that I could ever love something this much.
For sure.
I learned that like I love practicing chasseing and pirouettes and
Okay.
passe, plie.
No
first
cameras on
position.
this show, so I won't make you do it right now.
Okay, yeah, no, my wife has plenty. Like hit up Brittany. She's got plenty of plenty of videos of me doing it. Yeah, I also didn't know that it would unlock like. So we had her, and then a few months later came into like the special session on abortion.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I've only been in since 2020. I've technically
Yeah.
been through like 3 special sessions now. So, to show you what a ridiculous kind of time it is in Indiana
Sure.
politics, it definitely changes how your priorities and how hard you want to fight for things. Like, I don't know. It just makes me think like our furnace went out 2 days ago, and Mindy's at home today with like a stomach bug.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, we could move money from savings to like get the furnace fixed, right? And like we can take her to the doctor because I have health insurance, but like, I'm like, damn, like, what do you do? Like, all my constituents like don't have that,
Sure.
which may very well be a majority. Like, you
Sure.
know, every bit of research I've seen says like random $100 expense that people weren't counting on, like one blown tire,
Yep.
can be the difference between like having enough money for rent or not and getting evicted. Like, so it's just, it really shifts your perspective, and you can definitely relate to people a lot more.
For sure.
So.
Yeah, I found that Parenthood definitely does that. I don't know if you can tell, but there's
I came in
around the house.
I came in and I was like, I like the green on the nugget. Like, that's a green, you know.
The green nugget has been a solid. That was a solid purchase.
Yeah, we got a pink nugget up in Mindy's room. Have you seen the chunk?
The
yes. Ottoman.
Oh, yep.
It's.
I think that's on a list of ours somewhere.
Yeah.
Of things to
no. Yeah, you should
apply.
grab one, because like she goes to bed, I move it to the couch, put my feet up on it, but she comes down and we're rolling her in the big ring and doing, making like an obstacle course. Yeah. It's legit. So.
I love it. Yeah, we're big into cars right now. There's 2 pieces of cardboard back there. That's the ramp for the car. So we just right here, about 1,000 times.
Oh yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming through and sharing everything that you shared here.
It's my privilege.
A couple more questions for you, if you don't mind.
I'm here.
To kind of like wrap us all up together. Going back to like this through line of having the opportunity to be around conversations about what's happening in our political landscape. And before you ran, you thought about what it would look like to identify those people who might be good candidates and run them. I think with this whole redistricting thing, at least it's opened my eyes to the fact that a lot of people are potentially interested in engaging in that way. I don't know that they know the first steps even. What I am really interested in not only is how do we engage folks that are interested, but how do we maintain and sustain the momentum from that initial interest through a campaign, through I got elected now, like through all of that. Because I feel like I'm interested in how can I help support a system that does that. Because I don't know that I'm the right person to run in an area where I'm already feel pretty well represented, but I feel like I know of other people who I think would probably be pretty good candidates. But I don't know the first thing about who to connect them with and how do we continue to support them. So do you know how we do that or how we can do that? Yeah,
I tell everybody, it started when I was young, so I had that benefit. But like really what I was doing when my dad would like make me like run these soft drinks down to this fundraiser, like I was serving as a volunteer, maybe not for the campaign specifically, but for that night, I was a campaign volunteer. And then those folks would come back and I go out knocking doors with Paul Tuttle, Jeff Bennett, Garland Graves, like the team out in Warren Township for the township level stuff. Like, and then volunteering on Kerry Forrestall's campaign for sheriff for almost 2 years, like 4 or 5 nights a week, like for free. Like volunteering on campaigns is the way. Like changing your profile picture, to something like making your Instagram, like posting a black square, like it's cool that you're socially conscious. Sure. You haven't actually done anything. You have to, so volunteering on campaigns and then to keeping the momentum hopefully happens naturally if you volunteered for like the right person. Okay. Like when you have a task and it's for the right person, it doesn't matter if you're assembling clipboards, if you're actually, now door knocking is like the most important thing that candidates can do. If you're a volunteer and you're door knocking for a candidate you believe in, like you are making a real impact in that race and thereby your community.
Real quickly, why is door knocking so important?
It is the most effective form of voter contact.
Gotcha.
And that just makes sense. Like if you think about it for a second and apply like some common sense, like, you can do automated text messages, which most of us hate. You can do direct mail, which is it definitely has its place. I do
Sure.
a lot of direct mail. It's a good way to get hard information into the hands of
Totally.
voters. You can do phone calls. Phone banking is important, is a good component, but nothing means more to voters than having an actual person on their porch with information who's able to. I mean, obviously, if it's the candidate, that's the most effective. But like, I tell my volunteers, like, you're all my friends now. Go to these doors, say, hey, I'm Mitch Gore's friend. I'm here to. I want to, it. Firstly, it shows somebody trusts you and can stand you.
Sure.
And it gives people an opportunity to ask questions and get some answers about you, or if they need help with something. That's big for me. Making sure my volunteers ask them if they need anything from me.
Okay.
And then they report it back so I can help them. So yeah, by far the most effective way of voter contact.
Okay. I'm assuming once you volunteer, that's like, hey, we'll help you learn how to door knock and do that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like something that I would like a big narrative or even stereotype, I guess, around volunteering in that way is maybe not a stereotype, but it's like a fear of even just making the phone call. I feel like getting people to just call was hard. And then I think about how many people are like, well, I don't want to leave my house. And then to not only leave your house, but then to go to a stranger's door and be like, hello, I would like to talk to you about so-and-so.
Yeah.
What's your advice for people to like take that next step? Is it just simply sign up and volunteer and eventually we can get there, hopefully?
Yeah. I mean, I think any good campaign provides, like, I'll meet volunteers where they are. And I'll even if I wasn't planning on doing like a postcard writing
Sure.
program, like if I get a volunteer that's like, and I literally had this. I had an older gentleman. He's retired teacher in Beech Grove. He's awesome. Shout out to Paul. And he was like, I can't. He's pretty old. He has a hard time getting around. He's like, I can't knock doors for you. I'd prefer not to call, but I can write a postcard. I take stacks of postcards to him every week.
Sure.
And, and he'd address them for me and stamp them. I give him the stamp. So yeah, any good campaign should meet volunteers where they're at.
Yeah.
And then, it's up to like the core campaign team or the candidate themselves. Like, hey, like, you're doing great. Like, this is why door knocking is so important, or this is why phone banking is so important. Like, you want to just give it a try?
Yeah.
I tell people earnestly that knocking on doors, and it came naturally for me after being a bartender,
Sure.
right? I talk for a living. But it's also been, it's how I am positive I am right when I say we are not divided, we are being divided.
Okay.
Because in 2020, that was Trump's first reelection bid.
Yep.
And that's my first year running. And so in Beech Grove, especially like the southern part of my district, I'm going to houses with, Trump flags. And I'm there and I'm like, they're like, well, what are you? I'm like, I'm a Democrat. And they're getting ready to close the door. And I'm like, small business owner. I'm a cop, I'm, I lived here all my life,
Sure.
And they're like opening the door, like,
they don't shut it all the way.
Maybe,
Cop, you said?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So
Much.
whatever, like, piques them, their interest. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm talking to them and I'm like, here, have this information. Like, what do you disagree with on there? Well, nothing. It's like, I know,
Sure.
Republican roads are shit. Democrat roads are shit. Like, everybody wants to be safe. My black constituents, they want to be safe in their neighborhoods too.
Yeah.
Like, I've had Democrats tell me like, oh, do you put yourself in uniform on like mail or on stuff that you like send to like your black constituents? I'm like, yeah, they don't hate cops. They hate bad cops.
Right.
I also hate bad cops. Like,
yeah,
none of this is rocket science. Like, we really are less divided than we think. And you learn it for sure. And you get a renewed sense of our shared humanity in a really fulfilling way when you knock on doors. So
totally.
If that resonates with volunteers, I'll tell them that. But like, yeah, it's an important thing, and we should get a lot of people doing it.
Well, I appreciate you breaking it down, especially because like it's clear that there are many things available for somebody who wants to get involved, and it doesn't have to be you go knock on the door or even make the call. Like, I'm sure there's something that you can find that you can do to support the person. And I think just wanting to, regardless, like even just the intent to want to, I think is a good first step too.
Yeah. I mean, I got, our team, I got Daniel is my campaign manager, and he's doing an incredible job. And I have Ellie, who's our communications director, and she's knocking it out of the park. But I got at least one volunteer who was like, I just like photography. I'm good at taking pictures. I'm like, you're okay. You're our campaign photographer.
Nice. Yep.
I got another one that's like, I also like taking pictures. I'm like, you're also our campaign photographer.
Could never have enough campaign photographers.
And some of them are good at Canva. So they get to do graphic design work. I have, and that's Katie and Grace. I got a member of our team, Bella, who's out in Terre Haute. So like, physically not present to
Sure.
but she's like a TikTok expert. So she's our social media fellow, and especially on vertical platforms. And it's like, whatever you want to do,
Nice.
you could be, yeah. I mean, you can be our campaign podcaster,
Okay.
Whatever you want. Everybody is welcome to get involved.
I love it. I just want to apologize because we said your name. He said your name, and then I was gonna look, but I thought he might look, and then he didn't look, and I was like, "Did we just rudely mention Ellie?" And then she's sitting right here, not even acknowledge her. It's
It's like I've put a mental limo partition.
Oh dang, the mental limo partition.
I didn't know if we were referencing that. Ellie,
I offered her a producer mic, and she said no. So
what? You could have been like Roz on Frasier.
Yep.
I shine bright enough.
You are shining brightly, and I really appreciate you making the time to come through, sit in my kitchen, have this conversation, and share everything that you shared, especially about like what's going on in 89. I think that is something I want to do more of, is have more conversations with folks like yourself who can speak to all the people that they represent and what they're looking for, and hopefully we can keep amplifying that and keep fighting for a better Indiana for Hoosiers.
Well, people need to see, I don't want to sound conceited, but like there is a right way and a wrong way to be an elected official.
Sure.
And like, but you can get a sense that people are doing it the wrong way, but like if you see examples of people doing it the right way, for sure, like
Totally.
who's up to snuff and who's not. So, really grateful that you had me on. Beautiful kitchen. Wonderful to be with you.
Thank you. Shout out to my wife.
And, hope to be back on, sometime in the near future.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to make it happen. Before we let you go, last thing, how do people best support you, follow? What do you need from people right now who might be listening?
Yeah, I did just catch an opponent, but like I said, the district is competitive.
Yeah.
Every single cycle. I would love to have people help out. They can visit mitchgore.com. We have forms on there to volunteer, just to reach out, let me know your thoughts. We are firing up our canvassing, our door knocking program the first of the year. So we're going to get, pretty much a whole year of canvassing in before Election Day. We'd love to have people out. And, traditionally, my opponents so far in the last 3 elections have spent a combined about $800,000 to beat me. So if folks could consider chipping in $5-10, every little bit helps. Because we never hope to match that, but we do need a little bit. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I can't help myself but think of questions when I'm letting people go. So I have one more question.
Yeah.
For people who may be interested in volunteering for you but don't live in 89, can they still come through and help out and volunteer for your campaign?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have virtual phone banks, like where you can be anywhere in the world and you could join our phone bank and make calls into the district. We have texting banks. Again, like I can get postcards to you like that are already stamped and like you can ship them back to me. Like that's the other thing. Like I really believe in building a bench, and I will make up a role, or like create a program that maybe I wasn't originally going to do, as if it gets you engaged. So yeah, anything anybody wants to do, I'm here for it.
Love it. Representative Mitch Gore, thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Shout out to Representative Gore. I really appreciate him coming through, making the time to sit down and have a conversation like this. We talked about a little bit in our conversation, we didn't really know each other prior to this. We've had, sporadic interactions on social media. And so it was nice to be able to sit down and have this conversation, get to know him a little bit more than what I've seen online, and to have the opportunity to hear his first person perspective on what was happening in redistricting and then what his constituents were saying about this whole illegal gerrymandering attempt. I really appreciated his vulnerability and just being willing to walk us through his journey and how he's gotten from where he started to where he is. And also just how 2025 is the year of community on Conversation Piece, the year of community overall, just for Patrick Armstrong in general. And I feel like the conversation I had with Representative Gore closing out 2025 is very fitting because I feel like the crux of our conversation rested on that. That was the foundation. Is what does it mean to be part of a community? And what does it mean to stay engaged and locked in with that community as a representative of that community in the State House? I just a great way to bridge us and lead us into the next year and kind of put a bow on this year. I just want to shout out Rep Gore's team too, specifically Ellie and Daniel. Ellie came through the conversation. Awesome person. Shout out. She just graduated, I believe, with her second master's or with 2 masters. I'm not sure. But she is rocking it right now in the work that she's doing. And then Daniel has been engaging with me, has been following the Substack, has been following my work here for a little while, I think, but has been supporting the show and supporting the work that we've been doing or I've been doing over here. And so I really appreciate him staying consistent and staying on it when it comes to getting in touch with me and making sure we can make this conversation happen. Hopefully, we'll be able to have some more conversations in the future. All right. Rest of the week. I've talked about it last week. Pretty straightforward, though. As we exit 2025 and we enter into 2026, in addition to staying focused on community, we are going to be continuing our coverage of the fallout from the Indianapolis Local Education Alliance recommendations that they're going to be sending to the State House. What better way to bridge years than by hammering home on a topic that we've been talking about all year. And again, as you'll see in the conversations that we're having next week, much longer. I know that Wildstyle Pichelle has an op-ed dropping soon that is going to peel back a lot of layers of this onion. And so that is going to be part of our breakdown coverage next week on the morning show. And then last week, I also had the opportunity to sit down with Tina Algren, friend of Conversation Piece, friend of the show, friend of me, IPS parent, IPS teacher, and IPS advocate. She was the IPS parent advocate appointed to the ILEA committee. And we talk about her first person perspective of everything that went down with the ILEA, everything that's kind of been leading us up to this point, and where we kind of see this going in the coming months, next year especially. Public education, massive topic happening right here, right now, and something that we need to be focused on, not only as we wrap up the year, but as we kick off the new one. So if you enjoyed today's episode, and if you've been vibing with the content and the conversations that we've been putting out, would greatly appreciate if you hit the thumbs up or dropped a like or a heart for us here on the Substack or wherever you might be listening to this. And if you're interested and want to stick around and stay tapped in with the conversations that we're having, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out. I've been Patrick Armstrong, and until tomorrow.